What's up? What's up? You are listening to her in the huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here in studio with Caleb Blake, and Cleveland Kate is going to be joining us very shortly. What's up, y'all? Hopefully, everybody is having a wonderful day in the city. The weather is beautiful. Caleb, what's up with you?
Nothing much. Just enjoying the beautiful day outside. Happy to be here. Ready to get into it.
Yeah, man, we got a lot of stuff going on right now, especially with this Cleveland Browns. Normally we get into whoever seasons it is first, and it is the off season for the Cleveland Browns. It is winding and gearing up, but the football season is about to start very soon. Training camps start at the end of the month, so it's pretty much here, just a couple more weeks. But the biggest topic going on with the Cleveland Browns is that Baker Mayfield was traded to the Carolina Panthers for, it was a fifth round conditional pick, correct?
Yeah.
And it could become a fourth round conditional pick if he hits a bunch of incentives and things like that. So Caleb, let's get into it. What are your thoughts about it's official now? Baker Mayfield is no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns. He's with the I was about to say Carolina Peppers out of the NFC South division, in the same division with Tom Brady as well.
It's a huge sigh of relief. Like, I'm honestly just glad that now, as a team, this was kind of like a dark cloud weighing over everyone, and now this is, done. It's done and over with. And both sides can go their separate ways. I think it was just in everyone's best interest to be, done with this whole thing. So I actually like the move for Carolina. I mean, I when it originally started to be put out there that he may go to a team like the Panthers, or when there was, I guess, a bigger market before some other teams figured their stuff out, I wanted them to, if there was going to be a situation for him, I think the Panthers are like a perfect suitor. So I think it'll work out for both sides. Obviously, now the Browns just have clarity. We know exactly what we have, and we still have to figure some. I guess we don't have full clarity. We still got to figure some things out. But it's just nice to be done and over with with the Baker drama.
I was part of the camp of don't trade him, especially when you don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. You have somebody who knows the playbook. Yes, it is very contentious and, it is not amicable. But, I looked at it like, he's still a member of this team. You're paying him $18 million a year. Put him to work. I mean, who else gets to refuse to go to work? It doesn't really happen too much in real life. So have him get out there with the team. His shoulder has supposedly healed, he's ready to go. And if you don't have Deshaun Watson available, go ahead and use Baker Mayfield and let Baker play this year, and then Baker moves on with his life. You guys weren't going to extend him or anything like that, so just go ahead and let him move on. But I felt like, have Baker play. If you want an opportunity to possibly make the playoffs, we didn't know what this year was going to look like, but an opportunity to possibly make the playoffs, go ahead and start Baker Mayfield.
Right. And I completely understand that part of it too, because like, he was under contract, and after a certain amount, like, why we're not going to give you all this money to sit on the bench or to not show up to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like so much of this whole situation has been it's been such a distraction, and I feel like the fact that it didn't seem like either side really wanted to budge or like give in first. I mean, I'm not mad at the decision. I think it would have been a lot harder. It hypothetically probably could have been done, but I think it would have been really difficult when you're dealing with these big, names in the league like that, or just guys, in the NFL. There's big personalities, and I think that it would have been hard to try and make it work. But I mean, there's nothing we can say about it now because he's gone. But
Right.
I mean, Baker definitely. We talked about this, last week. He's definitely a better option than if we don't have Deshaun and Jacoby Brissett has to play for the whole season, then he definitely would have been the better option. But I mean, the Browns either have enough faith in Jacoby or they don't believe that Deshaun's going to get the full 17. So We really just got to see what happens with that at this point.
Yeah, maybe Jacoby is showing something that maybe we haven't seen,
Yeah,
possibly because I felt like everything could have been pushed aside, but it looks like there was a slow, steady build and everything is leaking out now that wasn't really leaking out. But they say that Baker was an issue and a problem, but going back, and that's something we're going to get into a little bit. It started with Hugh Jackson, so it's kind of been a long time coming, but I don't know. I guess I just have faith. I'm a hopeless romantic. I felt like they could work this out somehow and they could get past those issues and all that other stuff. And, if this team is about winning, I don't necessarily know if you can win with Jacoby Brissett, but, we've seen that you have been able to win with Baker Mayfield. We don't know how, he was going to perform after the shoulder surgery, but I was willing to take that shot. And especially when you go into the offseason saying, we're committed to Baker being our starter 100%. Obviously you got a new player, but we right now he's in a precarious situation and we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. So
yeah,
why not, kind of patch that bridge and possibly utilize Baker. And I know everybody's saying it's not going to happen and stuff like that. I had hope and I had faith and I believed.
yeah, and that's going back to that big personalities. Like it's something that I wish could have been done. I think if we just both sides had kind of communicated to each other a little bit better, I think we probably could have found a way to make it work. But like you said, after the season was over, we kind of went into it and we were like, all right, Baker's going to be our guy. And then after that, you go out and you spend $230 million on Deshaun Watson. So yeah, I mean, the way that the situation went, it definitely could have went, or been handled differently. But with the way that things fell, like it just, I mean, it sucks to look back at now that we like are forced to move on and deal with the impending reality of what could be our starting quarterback this season. But hopefully the Browns just know what they're doing. I trust Andrew Berry, so I mean,
Because Cleveland K, who's here with us now, by the way, thinks I hate Baker Mayfield. And the funny part was, I was looking forward to him coming back, where they're like, Baker is our starter, he's going through surgery and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine with me, So I was looking forward to him coming back, possibly showing what he can do. Yes, this was a terrible year, but this isn't the Baker that we know. I wouldn't say necessarily love. There's a lot of people love, but that this is a Baker that is better than what we know him to be. So I was looking forward to him coming back. Cleveland Kate, what's up, ma'am? How you doing?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Oh, okay, it'd help if I turned your sound up. How you doing today?
I'm good. Can you hear me now?
Good, yeah, I can hear you now. That was on me. Sorry about that. When the news broke, I had to contact Kate and console her because I wanted to make sure she was okay because she added that 6 to that Browns tattoo. Cleveland K, how are you doing when the news officially broke and it became official?
I'm okay. I was actually happy when the news broke because I was happy that he had a landing spot, that
Yeah.
he had some place to go. I didn't like being in limbo. We all knew he wasn't playing here next year, so it was just a matter of time. A couple things that are interesting to me. The first one is that it's Carolina, right? That was the first rumor we heard, and then it kind of died, and then all of a sudden it was back. Like, here's the announcement, it was back again. So I find it interesting the way these rumors work, the way they get quieted down, and then they end up being completely true. But that sort of leads me to the second thing, which is one of the things I've liked about Kevin Stefanski's reign as the head coach is there seems to be a lot better attitude in the locker room as far as keeping things in house and not talking about their business, keeping their business off the street and keeping it all private. So we didn't hear any of these things about Baker being a problem child until
Hmm.
now. So what's nice is that there's not all this talk going on about your team. What's problem is none of us were braced for this move to go get Deshaun and to get rid of Baker because we didn't know that there had been issues for years because they did keep it quiet. So, I'm was looking forward to the consistency of another year healthy with Kevin Stefanski and Baker together to see what
Me
they could
too.
do. So I'm really bummed that in a lot of ways we have to start all over again, and we have to start all over without knowing if it's Jacoby for 0, 6, 8, 17, and we don't know how many games he's going to have to play. And then when Deshaun comes back, it's just I don't know that we can make a run at anything in this division this year with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, we're stuck in limbo. See, Kate, I was kind of in the same camp as you. I was willing to see what was going on. I guess we couldn't say that, with the Odell situation, Daddy kind of blew that one out of the water because, we have been hearing some rumblings, but when he posted that video, we officially knew it was a problem. So they were able to keep, those problems in house. So, that's a good thing. And, pretty much for the most part, since Kevin Stefanski has been here, it's been a short duration. Not much has leaked. So, that's a testament to the Cleveland Browns PR staff and stuff like that. Only good stuff has leaked it and not the bad stuff. But yeah, Baker has been a problem. So how do you feel about him playing in NFC South, playing with Tom Brady?
Well, the NFC South is an interesting. I cover the AFC North and the NFC South for the website I write for NFL or Archer Football, and those are the divisions that I cover when we do the podcast and stuff. So you've got Carolina, Atlanta, the Saints, and the Buccaneers. Tom Brady's coming back for one more year. The Saints are going to have an interesting time this year. You've got the Falcons, who got rid of Matt Ryan, who ended up in where? Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of room for a number 2 team in that division. I don't know that the Panthers can win that division and beat out the Buccaneers because they've got Tom Brady and they've got too much experience on that team, but they definitely have a shot at coming in second in that division and getting a wild card spot. So I think Baker has a better chance of being in the playoffs next year than we do.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned something like that to me as well. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Caleb, what are your thoughts about Baker being in the NFC South?
Yeah, I mean, I hold the same sentiments. Like, I think that they could potentially end up getting to, that second place in the NFC South, or, maybe even fighting for a wild card spot, like when we get down to it. But, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about with Baker in Carolina. I mean, they have a really young and good offense. Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall. I mean, Robbie Anderson. Like, they have, weapons and talent. It was just more of a matter of Sam Darnold really not getting it done, or they've had a lot of questions at quarterback, so they kind of knew they needed to make a move anyway. They went out and drafted Matt Corral this year also, who could have been another guy who before the Baker trade could have been in the mix. But I mean, yeah, I think they're on the same level as like the Saints, and I mean the Falcons are obviously in full rebuild mode, but still not quite on the level of the Bucs, just because Tom Brady is Tom Brady for a reason. But I like their. I also agree, depending on the amount of games that Deshaun gets suspended for, they might have a higher chance of making it to the playoffs than we do.
Yeah, I kind of think of that NFC South as kind of like that middling team with just one pretty much good team,
Right.
it's a middling division, with just a whole bunch of bum teams, and you really kind of dismiss it. So, like Kate said, the possibility of him being in the playoffs, would honestly be awesome. I like the story aspect of it. He's in the NFC South, so I don't really care. All I care about is what's going on in the AFC. But
Right.
that's a great storyline, and that Baker goes, especially if we don't make the playoffs. The hope is that we do.
Right.
But that's a great storyline that Baker could possibly, make the playoffs and be a success. Because, despite how I feel about him, I don't hate him. I want the best for him. He was
Well,
a quarterback.
and Carolina's game is very similar to what the Browns do, right? They've got that stud running back
Yeah.
that can carry them, and then they've got a couple decent receivers that he can throw to. When you look over at the Falcons, they've got Marcus Mariota starting this year to see if he can figure out get back into winning ways in the NFL. But they drafted Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati, so they're
Mm-hmm.
probably thinking they don't have a lot of expectations for this year. They're banking on next year when Ridder can start. And then you've got Jameis Winston again in New Orleans, and he has not lived up to the hype anywhere that he's been. So, and it's interesting having those two in the same division. So there's going to be a lot of that talk. And now you've got, Baker and Sam Darnold not only in the same division, on the same roster. So I don't know that there has been an announcement yet. It's probably way too early that Baker's going to start. I think he's going to have to prove that he's healthy and fight for his job. But at the same time, you don't spend the kind of money you spent on him to not start him.
Yeah, and the terms of the deal was that what was it that Cleveland paid $10 million, and Carolina paid $4 million. Then Baker picked up the rest, so he took a pay cut, but he's going to have the opportunity to make that up in incentives. And I don't
Yeah.
feel sorry for millionaires, but I wish him well and hope he's able to do that, and stuff like that, because he was supposed to make a little bit over 18 million. So I hope he's able to get his money. I always hope players are able to get his money. So those was the terms of the deal. But I kind of feel sad that they paid $10 million just to make him go away.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal ending to the whole
I
Baker
wish the
story.
ex paid me $10 million just to go away.
Oh, wouldn't that'd be fantastic?
They didn't pay him 18. It could have been worse. They could have just had to cut him and pay him 18. I mean,
that's also true. Yeah,
they got out for a little over half. That ain't bad from their standpoint. That's not bad.
Yeah, because they didn't want to eat that full 18. So, all right, guys, we got to take a quick break. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we'll be right back. I was about to say, is everything okay? Everything okay? Okay. This summer's lineup features new artists and crowd favorites playing rock, reggae, jazz, country, public tunes, and more. Plan your trip to Wow Wade Open Wednesday at universitycircle.org. That's universitycircle.org. We'll see you in the circle. Okay. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here with rising junior at The Ohio State University, Caleb Blake, and I am here with Cleveland Kate, and they are here with me today on this beautiful day in Cleveland, and we are discussing the Baker Mayfield situation. It is official. Baker Mayfield is no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns. And one of the things that we had talked about was that they kept a lot of things, in-house. One was the term that Jim Donovan used was Baker fatigue. So from every aspect of the team, every aspect, including the trainers and all that other stuff, Baker was a problem. Kate, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, if they're saying it now, then it must be true. It's just I understand the benefit of your PR people keeping a lid on things, but it would have been nice if a little bit of this every once in a while had come from someone reliable, because I feel really blindsided by it. I did not think he was an issue. I really didn't. I knew he was frustrated with his performance on the field. I knew he was frustrated with his injury, and he kept trying to get out there. There was a little bit of talk, I thought, if I remember correctly, last year between him and Odell, and part of Odell leaving, which I thought was weird because I thought him and Odell and Jarvis spent some time together in the offseason.
They did.
Workouts and stuff. And so I don't know what happened during the season, but, it doesn't matter, right? It's like when your friends get divorced. It's a whole lot of he said, she said. It doesn't matter whose fault it was. It's done.
What I had heard,
it doesn't matter if it's true or not because he's gone.
Yeah, what I had heard that the disconnect was between them was that Baker didn't feel like Odell had bought into Cleveland and everything that the Cleveland Browns were trying to do and what he was trying to do with the team.
Oh, I didn't feel that either.
So that's what I heard.
I feel like Odell tried the last 2 years. And I kept telling my friends watching him playing with LA, I'm like, watch him. He don't run his routes. If that ball's not coming to him, it's not coming to him. Watch him. He don't finish his routes. He doesn't do what he should be doing. And yeah, he caught some passes in the Super Bowl and he made a name. Everyone's talking about how amazing he was and everything before he got hurt. But at the same time, that should have been him all year. And I don't feel like his heart was in it all year. It wasn't just a Cleveland thing, because I didn't feel like he was much better when he got to LA. So I can understand Baker being upset with that. I didn't have a problem when he was upset with Duke, because Duke wouldn't get, his contract done so he could get into practices and OTAs and stuff. I never had a problem with his competitiveness. So I don't know. I like him. I'm still root for him wherever he's at. That's okay. I'm not changing my tattoo. I'm gonna have that number 6 forever because he's the first quarterback that I thought was a real franchise quality quarterback that we've had in Cleveland since they returned in 98, 99. So I don't have a problem with the 6 on my butt.
So if we get a good quarterback that's number 16, you gonna put a 1 in front of it?
We could talk about it.
That would be such an interesting dilemma. But our next great quarterback.
Deshaun could be our next great quarterback, and he could take us to the Super Bowl, and he could win a championship. And I'm still not putting a number 4 on myself because that was Phil Dawson's number.
Well,
and
yeah,
I hate that they gave him number 4 because at some time I wanted them to retire Phil's number.
They still might.
Everything he meant, and he was number 4, and I don't know why they gave that number to somebody else. It aggravates me.
It's always a possibility, They might always retire that in the future. We never know.
I feel like they definitely can just go back and I definitely believe in Phil Dawson's number being retired, just because he was, for as bad as the Browns were or have been throughout my lifetime, he was the one person, who was, I guess, and Joe Thomas also. I can't disrespect Joe Thomas, but he's
like the leading scorer over the last 20 years for the Browns. Yeah. I'm just I don't know how you do that when you gave his number to Deshaun Watson. You didn't give it to a punter or a third guy on the bench. You gave it to someone who has absolutely the opportunity, the ability, the talent to have his number retired as a Cleveland Browns legend if he can get us to the Super Bowl. And so I feel like that's going to be a whole thing. Why? There's plenty of other numbers. Why did you have to? I don't know that he. It's not like Deshaun's been number 4 in his whole career, right? So,
what if they end up who's to say that they don't end up just retiring them both? I feel like we get new stuff.
We'll retire 44 and call it done.
Yeah, right.
And he had to give a Baroli for that too, for that number. When he gave that Rolex, I forgot who he got the number from, but somebody else wore number 4. Remember?
I think it was Anthony Walker. Actually.
Yeah, and he gave him a Rollie for that one. I would have took it off my back too. 4 don't mean that much to me. Here, give me my Rolex.
Oh, 100%. That's a no doubter. You don't even have. I don't have to think about that. But,
yeah. So you guys, what are your thoughts? I know he's not here anymore, but I think, maybe some of the first signs of Baker's, attitude might have been with Hugh Jackson and kind of how he treated the press as well. He wasn't very respectful to the press. So, I understand that Tony Grossi's questions, might be annoying, but you still treat somebody with a modicum of some respect.
He called him a midget. Tony Grossi called him a midget. I mean, that respect goes both ways, girl. Goes both ways.
You should see me and Kayla looking at each other.
He did. He said it. It was completely unacceptable and disrespectful, and it was not okay. I don't know that the problems went all the way back to Hugh Jackson. Is that Hugh saying that? I don't know. I'm more concerned with these new teams they're letting into the Big Ten, if I'm going to be honest with you, than I am about how long ago Baker started being a problem.
I feel like with Hugh, I don't know. With Baker, I never thought, I didn't mind the Hugh beef that they had, I guess.
Well, remember, it had to do with, him telling him, congratulations, you're the number 2 in training camp. And I guess he didn't like that.
Which I get it because he's a competitive guy, that is who Baker is. I think we all know he obviously has a very competitive spirit. His attitude can be polarizing at sometimes. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have been – I agree with Cleveland Kate on the aspect that it is kind of a blind side that, it just came – now everything is coming out. And it's nice that I guess we got to keep everything in-house so we seemed all cool because before this past season, you would have thought everything was all fine and dandy. We'd won our first playoff game in over, however many years. And I'll never forget the picture of Myles Garrett and Baker, jumping up and them being together. And it's kind of wow, 2 guys that, really took like a bottomless franchise that has,
Mhm.
hasn't been anything for a while, and, took them to not like the mountaintop or anything like that, but to another level of glory. And like there was a
Mhm.
lot of hope. We had a lot of hope after that.
Mhm.
So it's weird seeing all this stuff now, and like, but I guess that just shows you how fast things can change in the business of the NFL.
Mhm.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think the Hugh Jackson issue is that he was not Baker's choice for quarterback. But we drafted Baker #1 overall in that draft. There's a certain amount of respect that you need to give a man when you take him #1.
Who was Hugh's
I
first
don't
choice?
I don't know who he wanted. I don't think it was Baker though. I can't remember the story. There were stories then. I don't know if it was Darnold or Rosen or Allen or one of the other ones, but I know Baker was not Hugh's choice, which is why he made those kind of chippy comments to Baker in camp and stuff. And it's like, dude, I know you got sour grapes that you didn't get your guy, but you don't go sniping at your quarterback. You know what I mean? They don't talk to other coaches. Don't talk to Urban Meyer did that kind of crap in Jacksonville, and he don't have a job now. You have to. That respect goes both ways, at least privately in the locker room and that kind of thing. I don't know. I just wasn't happy with Hugh's style. He's the kind of guy who would say something to you. You know how people say like no offense, and then they say something really offensive, and then they laugh about it. I feel like that's Hugh Jackson's style, and that don't play in some arenas and with some people. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I discount Hugh Jackson as being an issue.
I think you definitely have to know your personnel, like as a coach, especially. That's a huge thing.
Read
And
the room.
yeah,
Read the
yeah,
room.
it's all about reading the room and your interactions, with especially as a coach with your players, with the rest of your staff. So I think you just got to know who you're dealing with, and obviously, their relationship turned super sour because of the lack thereof between Baker and you. So yeah, I completely agree.
So Hugh said his picks for the top four, or his top four rated draft quarterbacks in 2018 was Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Baker Mayfield. So
In that order.
no. No, it's just the article that I was able to pull it up, and so far he's hasn't hit on two of them. So
Yeah, I honestly, it's funny like thinking back on that draft class when I feel like that it was. I mean, it was pretty hyped up. Like a lot of people were high on Josh Rosen. I feel like
mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
he really did not pan out at all.
I would say like for Josh Allen being the only real like question mark. Like I feel like a lot of other people thought that I mean Baker was kind of a little more of a wild card, but I think Darnold people thought would be a sure thing, and Rosen. And now like looking back
Yeah.
on it, Josh Allen was the only one that really. Not to say, I mean, I still believe in Baker obviously, and he won a
Mm-hmm.
playoff game. So, but Josh Allen's the only one that really was at that next level that I feel like everyone expected.
Baker ain't getting any taller though, y'all. He's
Mm-hmm.
still
Yeah, true. That's true.
you can't teach height, right? So I mean, he's still going to have limitations no matter how he does or where he ends up in California. But I mean, in Carolina. But I don't know. We'll see. He's not our problem anymore. Now we got to just wait until next week maybe, or the week of the 25th to find out who's going to be taking snaps under center week 1, because we won't know until all of this stuff comes out with this woman that's the arbitrator,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to give her ruling. So, and I don't know how much you know about all that. So there are 2 parts to her ruling. There's her findings of fact, which is where she'll list out over, I don't know, 10, 12 pages, the facts as she understands them from the allegations made against Deshaun. And that section is stuff that cannot be argued. Roger Goodell and Deshaun, the Players Association, have agreed to this format for arbitration. So what she decides are the facts they have to use if there's any kind of an appeal going on. And then the second half will be another 10 to 12 pages of her findings of penalty. If she thinks he violated the league's code of conduct, and what she is recommending his penalty to be. So if she gives him no penalty, then that's it, and it's done, and nobody can do anything else. If she gives him 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 years, whatever she gives him, Roger Goodell can appeal it on behalf of the NFL and ask for more. And Sean Watson and the NFLPA can appeal it and ask for less. But Goodell is stuck with her ruling as far as if she decides it's no games, the NFL can't come back and go, well, it has to be something, and then appeal it and try to get 6 or something for him. If she says none, it's none. But if she assigns games, then both sides have the opportunity to appeal the length of the suspension, but not the findings of fact that she lays out for them.
So this is almost going to be a 25-page paper, and
That's my guess.
I had to do a paper like that, 25 pages on FIFA for a college credit in was it grad school, because I needed a credit for my student loan. You know how you got to take 6 credit hours, so I needed to find 1 credit. So I was just thinking, like, that's 225. That's a 25-page paper, so that's a student credit hour. That is kind of completely insane. And we're definitely on pins and needles to try to see when we are going to get some action and movement on that. One thing is, NFL is dragging this out for sure. I'm like, let's get on with it already.
Well, it's all in, the ball's in her court. It's going to take her probably every bit of 2 weeks to get that much written up and proofread and edited and all that kind of stuff. I was hoping it would get released this week. And then it'll just be a matter of the appeals process. I mean, the NFL Players Association has already said if it's anything but 0, they're appealing it, because they're still unhappy that Robert Kraft and some of these other owners who've done some snarky things and some sketchy things didn't get any punishment at all. And so the NFLPA is trying to prove that you can't hold players to a different standard than owners.
Mm-hmm.
I would submit that you can, because I could probably show you the face in a picture of all 32 NFL team owners, and you might recognize 3 of them, 4 of them. Whereas these NFL players are household names in their cities. Everyone knows who they are. They know what they look like. They're more the face of the franchise than these owners are. They do more damage, I think, to a franchise. If an owner gets in trouble, Jim Irsay gets a DUI, or Robert Kraft gets in trouble at a massage parlor, it doesn't change people's opinion about the team. They still love the team. But when the players get involved in things, you get people who start boycotting the team and burning jerseys and selling their season tickets and all that other kind of stuff. So I think the impact of their behavior is different. I'm not saying their punishments should be different. I understand why it's different, because I think when the players misbehave, it has more of a financial impact on the bottom line than for the owners.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to take another quick break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. Did you hear about Condoleezza Rice?
No.
Being part owner of the Broncos, part of the ownership group.
But that's fantastic, though.
And then the other black lady who with Raiders,
yeah.
Well, she got roots to Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Now, her dad was a football coach, and Paul Brown used to come to the house for dinner when she was a kid and talk football with her.
Pretty quickly, and whatever we don't. Do you know if you can make it tomorrow?
Yeah, I can make it tomorrow.
Because whatever we don't get to today, we're gonna utilize for tomorrow as well.
Cool.
Do we have to talk about the Guardians?
So I want to ask how much pressure is on him to be successful.
Who? Oh no,
Baker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cool. Myles Garrett and Condoleezza.
Oh,
I
Myles.
get scared every time I see him play basketball.
Myles?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll talk about that. Yeah.
I want to talk about that today.
I get it.
Talk about the Guardians going to the All-Star game.
I get scared every time.
No, I know. He's actually good though.
I know.
I love that.
The Cavs could actually use him in the low block. Because Jared Allen about this big.
I know. Seeing him next to all them, but he's so big.
He couldn't even fit in his uniform.
It's ridiculous.
I want to see him next to LeBron. I want to see how he compares to LeBron.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. Remember, you can always listen to us live at 95.9 FM on your regular radio dial. You can listen online at WOVU.org. You can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. And make sure you download that WOVU app so you can take us with you on the go and listen to your favorite personalities. Well, I had a question for you guys. I always ask you guys questions. I don't know why I said that. But how much pressure is on him to be successful in Carolina? Do you feel like a lot of pressure is on Baker Mayfield at all? Because I kind of don't feel like a ton of pressure is. Like I have that. I feel like there's an expectation for him to perform. I think maybe because he's injured, that maybe, Carolina is willing to be like, okay, we know you're coming off an injury. We don't have Super Bowl expectations. We do have playoff expectations. But if they don't make the playoffs, that's okay too. I don't feel like there's as much pressure on him in Carolina as it is for him in Cleveland.
I do agree with that. I don't think that there's as much pressure in Cleveland, I guess, but I think that's just because of, and I mean, Carolina also, it's not like they've won. Well, I mean, they were in the Super Bowl with Cam Newton like recently, so they've had some kind of success, But with us, there's a lot more pressure because, I mean, especially with Cleveland, it's just a football town, and we've been waiting so long for somebody to just roll on through, and finally here comes, the chosen one. And, it obviously didn't end up working out. But I still think
one chosen one did.
Oh, yeah, but that's
the other one. I think there's a ton of pressure on him in Carolina because
you do.
Yes, because you don't spend the money they spent to get him unless you need him. You think he can be your franchise quarterback because this is the year to tank. This is the year that they're saying we're going to have one of the best quarterback draft class next year that we've seen in a long time. So these teams are going to be fighting for the bottom of the barrel to get them a quarterback. And now Carolina's not. They spent, $4 million on Baker. They've got Sam Darnold. They've risked their locker room to have those two guys in there together. They're clearly not trying to tank the season. They don't have enough draft picks even stored up to try to trade up into the top 4 to get a quarterback, which means they're putting all their eggs in the Baker basket and thinking that he's going to get them through this division. The Saints did it by taking Ritter, and they're going to sit him for a year. The Falcons did it by taking Matt Corral, and they're going to sit him for a year. The Buccaneers, I don't know what they're going to do if Tom Brady ever actually does retire. But Carolina is trying to position themselves to be set at quarterback, and that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure for Baker, especially when they've got some offensive line issues and some other things going on in Carolina. But obviously, their running game's solid, but we'll have to see what, Robbie and the rest of the crew do from a wide receiver standpoint. He'll have better weather to play in. I'll give him that. We'll see how he does in December when he's got to play in, 80 degrees instead of up here in -10. But I think there's a ton of pressure on maybe not Baker personally, but on the front office. There's going to be a lot of pressure from fans for this decision to pan out because they could have just started Sam Darnold, probably 1-2 games and had a shot at a really good quarterback in the draft. So for the front office, maybe that's where the pressure is for this to work out and for them to show the fans that they made the right decision in going after Baker instead of just waiting for the draft.
So I do agree, but I kind of think that there's more pressure on him personally. I think just because of the way that he is, like the way, his mindset, his attitude, the way he carries himself. Like, I think he's always been a guy to have a chip on his shoulder. So he definitely wants to come back and play well. But also, I mean, if Baker doesn't stay, this season is like terrible for the Panthers and they don't make the playoffs and they also don't end up getting, one of those great quarterbacks in, either a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud that's going to be in this next class. I mean, like if he has a bad enough season, like he might be out of a job for a while, or he's at least not going to be playing.
Yeah, this is his last shot at a starting quarterback.
He wants to. Like after a full season, fully healthy. I mean, it's going to be a lot harder for him to, especially with so many guys coming in and out, or newer guys that are coming into the league, and the talent in the NFL is just like any other sport is going to continue to only get better. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him personally, just because, I mean, if this season does go super poorly and he doesn't play well, I mean, I don't really know how big the market is going to be for him other than maybe in a backup type of role with, I mean, whatever team sees fit at that time. But
Yeah,
I think
no,
there's a ton of person
absolutely
on person.
backup role. This is his last chance at a starting quarterback job, in my
Yes.
opinion, as a starting quarterback. If he can't play well here, because you're right, he's got a huge chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove to Cleveland that you shouldn't have let him go. And we get to see him week 1. That'll be fun. I'm so glad that it's week 1 so we can have it. We can talk about it. We can get it over with, and then we can move on with the rest of the season and be done with that drama. But he's got a lot to prove. And this is the last year of his rookie deal. I mean, 18 million sounds like a lot, but that's because they had that contract backloaded. This is the last year. So he needs to play well so that he can get another job as a starting quarterback, because he doesn't strike me as someone who's going to want to be a backup or, God forbid, a mentor. I mean, that's just not his makeup. He's going to want to be a starter, and this is his last shot at a starting job.
That week 1 game terrifies me, by the way.
Why?
Now
We suck week 1.
Depending on who or how the suspension goes, like Baker could absolutely light us up.
Yep.
Like I if there was one game next season that he's gonna make sure to bring his A game, that he's like definitely gonna ball out, it's gonna be against us.
I don't know. I'm just not worried.
I am extremely worried. Like,
Just not. It's like
let's see
I'm
who
like
the
a duck,
quarterback is week 1, and then I'll tell you how worried I am.
yeah,
I'm like a
that's
duck,
true too.
and water's rolling down my back right now. My back is waterproof.
I guess I
I'm
gotta.
just not worried.
I gotta see who our QB is. Gotta see who our QB is.
Yeah.
Week 1. I think he'll torch a Jacoby Brissett led Browns.
I'm kind of thinking that there's not going to be no suspension because they gave us Carolina the first game of the season. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm in the camp now that there's not going to be any suspension, and there's a lot coming out that it possibly might be 0 games as well. And the NFL knew what they was doing when they made that schedule up.
A little
So
foreshadowing right now.
yeah, exactly. Because why would you make that game and all the talks during the draft and stuff like that about Baker going to Carolina? They knew exactly what they were doing.
It is a little bit too much of a coincidence. Like,
they did a lot of interesting things with the schedule. The Seattle Seahawks play the Denver Broncos.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Like on Monday Night Football. I want to say I got to go look at the schedule early in the season. Like they lined up quite a few games. It was their turn for those divisions to play each other. But it's in Seattle. So I know the NFL looks for drama with that kind of stuff. Faux show. Let me go see the whole schedule.
Russ in Denver. How do you guys feel about that?
I like it.
Good
I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. Yeah, I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. So
as long as he didn't go for a minute, there were some rumblings that
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So as long as that's not a thing, like,
yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm a big Sierra fan.
Yeah,
so.
September 12th, Monday Night Football. Is that week 1?
I believe so.
Yeah, we have Labor Day weekend off, and then the first week of the season. So week 1
football
is Denver at Seattle, and I don't know. I like Russell. I hope he does well in Denver. I hate John Elway, but Peyton Manning was there. I got a little bit of I understand quarterback struggles.
I was a Peyton fan, not a Denver Broncos fan. I was a Manning fan. Too. But then the things that came out about him, I stopped being a Manning fan.
About Peyton Manning?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed.
I still love Peyton.
I don't know.
Russell Wilson will be fine. He'll be fine in Denver.
We'll talk about that off air. But yeah, it is what it is. So that's all I'm saying. I think the way that, like Caleb said, the way that they foreshadowed, what's to come. I'm just, I'm kind of on the 0 games at this point. Before we go to break, Kate, wanted to ask you guys, you and Caleb, about. I don't know why I keep saying I want to ask you guys. All I do is ask you guys questions.
It's just natural.
I know. Myles Garrett. Do you get scared every time you see him play basketball? Because I know I do.
Every time.
And I'm scared that he's going to get hurt.
Because I have survived. What was that crazy boy who did the motorcycle stunts? You knew who I mean.
Kellen Winslow.
Kellen Winslow Jr. I mean, we've had some players get hurt doing stupid. And basketball is not the same as riding motorcycles through the parking lot. But, I would be opposed to him doing anything that might put himself at risk and get him hurt. It is very easy to just step down wrong and twist an ankle. It's not even like somebody going to hurt him. He could mess something up. I don't like it. I'm not saying he can't have a life. He can play basketball when he's done with football.
Break a finger, all that.
Not
I
when you're
get
as
it.
important to the team as Miles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Some
mean,
of
I
the-
understand like not wanting to have your best player, be in any kind of liable situation, but I feel like a lot of I don't know. My disposition on it is a little different, just because I like it's he can do whatever he wants to do in his off season. Like I know it is a big risk because he obviously means so much to the Browns and the city and everything, but it's also like I think that is more important to that like he has a life outside of football. Like I know Lamar Jackson kind of took a lot of heat for that because he like last summer he had a lot of like youth kind of camps and stuff, but he was like out there playing with them and caught a lot of flack. But I mean, that's no different than this situation to me. So
I mean, there's a lot of benefits from an athleticism standpoint to playing multiple sports. It's a different sets of
Yeah.
oh,
muscles, it's
absolutely.
different skill sets. It gets his body moving in different ways and than it does for football. And so maybe from a mental health standpoint, it just gives him a little break to do something he loves, and then he gets right back into the grind for football. I'm just scared. But like if you could promise me nothing bad gonna happen to him, I would be like, you go play basketball. I'll bring some popcorn and watch it. It'd be fine.
Wait,
That's
so
my only fear.
Lamar was out there burning kids.
He was like running routes with
Oh,
kids
yeah.
last year. Like he took a
Oh, yeah.
ton of flack for it. He was like running routes with kids. I want to say I don't remember if they were playing basketball, but they were at like a court one time. And everyone kind of jumped on him. And it's like these guys are. Let these guys live. I mean, I feel like they deserve to. They put in the work on the field. They deserve to have their do whatever they want.
Yeah, I know, but Miles is very important, and as you can see in the NBA playing basketball, you can get some kind of funky injuries. So think about Jared Allen, him breaking his finger, and how important he was, to what we were trying to do, and he wasn't really able to be used for those play-in games, and he sucked it up that second play-in game, but I just think about like those freak injuries. So I get a little scared every time I see Miles do basketball, and then his uniform don't even fit. They need to make a bigger uniform for him because all these muscles bulging out. And I'm like, Miles, your uniform don't even fit, dude.
I ain't complaining, girl. You be quiet.
Yeah, he is a specimen. I can't lie about that. All right, we got to take another break right quick before we head into the final 15. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I wonder if
he walk a lot like this in his basketball.
What's it? Oh yeah, I
Miles.
know.
It looks like he's wearing an Italian medium t-shirt.
What you say, Kate?
This t-shirt looks like it's what they call an Italian medium. Somebody shrunk his shirt.
He got a schmedium on.
He got a schmedium on.
I'm like, Miles, you need the bigger uniform.
I want him to Hulk out. I want him to like go, just rip the seams of his shirt.
And he was dunking. His head was getting above the rim.
He's like a hooper. Like he's good.
Yeah, because didn't he play basketball?
I want to say so. I know he used to play at the Strongsville Rec a lot.
Oh, really?
Or like a couple of times.
Dunking on folks out there.
Yeah. He's actually good. He's a hooper.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish he put aside his hoop dreams because the season's about to come up.
And go get that 10-day after we
right.
win a chip, I guess.
Right. Like, go do whatever you want to do. Like, day one at the end of the season, you still got another almost year to get ready. But I'm like, man, every time I see him play some basketball, I just cringe.
Oh, yeah.
It
definitely makes sense.
We can talk about the Guardians All-Stars.
Yeah, we want
a little bit.
You want to do that first?
Yeah.
The All-Stars first? Okay.
Jose Clase and who was our last?
Andres. Jose Clase, Andre Jimenez.
He's been playing really well recently, actually.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU and 95.9 FM. I am here with Cleveland Kate and Mr. Caleb Blake, rising junior at The Ohio State University. And let's move on to some Cleveland Guardians. We did a lot of football for football to not just be in season yet, but it was a lot of important topics that we had to touch on. So we got some all-stars in the house, baby. Jose Ramirez, Andres Jimenez, and Emmanuel Clase will represent the Cleveland Guardians. Excuse me. They will represent the Cleveland Guardians in the All-Star game that's taking place in LA in just a few days. And before that, though, we have a long homestand. But let's get into these All-Stars. So I think Jose Ramirez is always a given. You know, one of the best players in baseball right now. Andres Jimenez has came on as of late, had a big home run the other day in one of the games. And Emmanuel Clase, I don't have his exact numbers for me, but he is pretty much the best closer in all of baseball, pretty much throwing all strikes when he goes out there. So, you guys, what are your thoughts about these all stars that the Cleveland Guardians are sending to LA?
Well, I love it. And what I think is fun is the way Tito told the team. So he gathered them all up in the locker room right before the announcement was made. And he was like, listen, I just want to let you guys know we got the names for the All-Star break. So he announced Jose, who's going to his fourth All-Star game. And then Emmanuel Clase, the pitcher. And he's like, let's all stand up and give him a round of applause. So it looked like he was done and there were just two of them. And then he was like, and you can stop clapping now because we're also sending Andres Jimenez, the second baseman. And so that he was like he was completely surprised because Tito was kind of messing with him, which I think is fun. And I think Tito does a nice job of having fun with the players when he can. Sometimes I know I do, Rachel, complain that he's not hard enough on these guys and he gives them a little too much leeway. But things like that are why the locker room loves him. And I'm super excited that we've got 3 All-Stars this year.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I honestly kind of wish Jose thought he was going to be a starter, but I mean, it is what it is. As long as being recognized in the All-Star game is always a great accomplishment. So yeah, and that story of how Tito kind of sat down and told the team is awesome. I mean, that's what sports is about. That's why we love sports. And I think that the way that he surprised Andre Jimenez, like that's something that he'll remember for the rest of his life. And I think that's just a bigger testament to the culture that kind of we have. With the Guardians and what Tito kind of has built since he's been here. So, yeah, I mean, awesome stuff for us all around.
Yeah, awesome. I love the Jimenez pick because he was part of the haul that we got for Francisco Lindor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see that we may have given up Frankie, who was an all-star player, but you know what? We got one back. It took him a year to get acclimated to here, but in his second year here, he's in the all-star game, and I think that helps at least me feel a little better about the Frankie Lindor trade.
And if I'm not mistaken, Frankie's not an all-star this year, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
He has had a very rough time in New York.
Right, yeah.
It ain't Cleveland. It's a very different environment, and he has had a very rough time.
Mm-hmm.
I would take him back in a heartbeat because I fully believe it's an environmental and a coaching thing and not Frankie's talent hasn't somehow disappeared. So would I take him back? Absolutely. But he has not played well since he's been gone.
And of all teams, he went to the Mets. Like, he should have went to the Yankees, and he probably would have been doing a lot better. But he went to the Mets.
Right.
I mean, they had the money to pay him, but
deep pockets.
Yeah, I know exactly. It wasn't because he was going to a winning team, but it was the Mets. So I don't really know what he expected. Out of that. It's not like
he expected to get paid, Rachel. You want players, he expected, and he is still getting paid.
Yeah, I take him back too. I miss Frankie. I loved his personality and his love of baseball, and he loves money. So I understand, but yeah, I'd be happy to welcome him back too. But right now, this team is on a skid. They went on a road trip after having a wonderful road trip against Colorado Rockies, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Minnesota Twins. They have just went on a road trip, and they are 1-6 against the bottom dwellers of the AL Central, getting swept against the Detroit Tigers. I'm just in disbelief. And then only winning one game against the Kansas City Royals this past weekend. What is going on with this team, you guys?
I don't know. I was hoping Natalie would be here and could explain this to me because I was so excited. Um, I think Caleb will agree. I thought they overperformed on that road trip. I was so excited with them getting past my expectations for the number of wins in the series they went on that trip. And it just feels like it all fell apart.
Yeah, I completely agree because I totally thought, that road trip was a big step for us.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, all right, we're going to have higher prospects, than we originally went into the season thinking. And then now we're kind of just like, after the skid, we're all, it's even. We're basically balanced out. So, I mean, I really hope we can get out of this skid, especially now because we got the White Sox tonight, and then I believe we play the Tigers again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, these divisional games that we can constantly are always talking about. Yeah, I mean, we got to figure this out.
Yeah, this divisional game is important because the White Sox are right there with us, and they've had a ton of injuries, so they're right there with us. Huh, Kate?
They both have 41 wins.
Yeah.
The White Sox and the Guardians. They've got one more loss than we do, but I don't look at losses in baseball because of the way the schedule's so weird. We've both got 41 wins. We've got to do something against these divisional teams.
And they performed pretty well against the White Sox, but right now they're streaking. They've had in the X amount of games, 3 double headers in like a week. So one of the things that we could be looking at is fatigue because it just took so much on that road trip to get those wins coming from behind, extra innings and things like that. When they came back, they were not kind of ready to go a little bit, so that they, had the issues with Boston and then who else? The Yankees. So their offense and bats went kind of silent. Pitching wasn't the best. Tristan McKenzie, once again, well, I wouldn't say was a hero of the road trip, but he pretty much got the sole win. And but the offense of the Guardians actually came alive that day against Kansas City, but pretty much they were, held in check and under control. And they've just had some woes right now. So I forgot who is pitching tonight.
We've got 4 games against the White Sox because we got to make up. Tomorrow's a doubleheader because they're making up one of those games from April. Bieber should be pitching tonight, or maybe Bieber pitches tomorrow at the 1:00 game. Quantrill, I think, is up tonight.
Okay. And he's still undefeated at home. So hopefully he can have a great game tonight and get them back on the winning track.
Yeah. So we got 1 game today, 2 tomorrow, 1 Wednesday, and then we are Detroit on Thursday. Like there's no day off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every day. So that's a lot of games. So it's opportunity to make up some ground, opportunity to, try to maybe separate themselves a little bit from the White Sox in the division. They were right there and took the lead against the Twins, in the division, but, kind of tailed off of that, but it was Boston and New York. So that was going to be a tough series anyway when they came into town. But, it's just like you got to perform well against them too. You got to perform just as good against them as you do against the bottom dwellers too. So, yeah, good game when they was on that road trip.
They got 8 games in 7 days. They are going to need this All-Star break.
What do you guys think about shortening the games in the MLB? Like, I mean, 182 games is a lot of games, right? And then when you have these like kind of back-to-back kind of things like this, I mean, do you guys think it should be a shorter season?
I'd cut at least 30 games off the schedule. 182 is too much. 152 is fine.
I think 152 sounds solid.
I love baseball, so no.
I do. Yeah, I get it. Like, I do love baseball.
Huh?
How many games have you been to?
A lot.
I think 152 is like the perfect medium though, because then or like anywhere in that 120 to 150 kind of range, because you get the best of both worlds.
I want them to be more football games. I feel like we need to get to a 20-game season for football. I'm okay with the basketball because the basketball season is like 8 months long.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with the length that basketball is because it seems to go on forever.
Football is limited by weather. You can't.
Huh?
Football is limited by weather because it is large. Until they're all indoor stadiums, you can't be playing in February because it's too cold, and you can't be playing in July when it's 110 degrees in the shade in Dallas. So I think football is limited by the seasons because it's an outdoor sport.
So everybody just needs to build retractable domes from here on
Oh,
out.
well,
Right,
No
just make
ifs,
it a
ands, or
standard.
buts.
I'll send a memo over to Roger Goodell and we'll get on that right now.
No ifs, ands, or buts at this point.
I would say, like, is there anything else you could do with the preseason? But they've already kind of done that just to get to 17.
Oh yeah, knock
so
down another preseason game.
Would
I
you
would
go
do
18?
two
Would you go 20? And no, I feel like you got to have a little bit of preseason though, right?
Yeah,
Two
I would
For
games.
some guys.
2 preseason games, then a week off, then 18 regular season games with 2 bye weeks. I would do 3 weeks and a bye week for the AFC, and then 3 weeks and a bye week for the NFC, and then 6 weeks, and then do the same on the back end. A bye week for the entire AFC, and then a bye week for the NFC. Do them back to back for that whole conference and get them done. This one every week for 15 weeks is just a pain. Messes up my fantasy football lineup every time. It's 7 o'clock. Gotta
Well, guys, huh? What'd you say, Kay?
It's all about me and my fantasy football team. I can't
You're centering everything on yourself, Catherine. I wish you could see her right now.
Oh, I wish someone would tell DJ Chris Styles I am personally offended that I was not invited to his wedding.
He's in Fiji right now, so we can let him know
Because
when
I'm
he come
white,
back.
having it.
Huh?
It's because I'm white, isn't it?
Oh no, I doubt
And
it's
I
that.
like Ohio State. I know exactly why I didn't.
I doubt it's that.
Right.
But we are out of here. We had a great show. Thank you to Cleveland Kate. Thank you to Caleb Blake. You've been listening to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. We are out of here.
What did I say? Trouble.
I wasn't invited either. I know.
If I'd have been invited, Rachel, you could have been my +1.
Yeah, so don't feel bad. I didn't want to say
I was going to comment on his Facebook post and say, why wasn't I invited? It's because I'm white, isn't it? But I didn't know if his friends would find that funny because we laugh about it, if they would get it.
Yeah, but no, I wasn't either.
Yeah, we're still live on StreamYard. We should probably go.
All right, bye.